Hey everybody, Jeff here, Aromatics. I hope everybody is doing good. I'm doing great, enjoying this wonderful weather. Smoking my pipe. I was watching some videos and I saw a fellow named Over a Pipe was talking about some of the esotericas that he acquired. And I figured that kind of reminded me of Stonehaven, and I thought, I haven't had that in a long time. I only have a small amount of it, so I'd only break it out every once in a while. And I figured today's a nice warm day. It'd probably be a great day to have a nice little smoke and do a review on it while I'm at it. Now, Stonehaven is probably one of the hardest Esoterica blends to get. And it's too bad because at first I wasn't too impressed with it, but once I found out that you kind of have to dry it out a little bit because it comes pretty wet, the taste really came through. And it's so unique. It's basically, sounds simple, a Virginia and a burley that's pressed together, dark Virginias. And I don't know if it's hot pressed, but it's pressed into a flake, which I'll show you here. It's kind of balled up a little bit. Comes pretty wet, pretty moist, and even after you dry it out, still doesn't want to stay lit too much. So I got to keep lighting it. But it sounds simple, but really unique. Like, I've never tasted anything like it. It's like, say, Penzance, although it's an excellent English blend, it's still, there's other ones out there that are kind of similar, maybe not the same quality and such, but at least there's alternatives. Whereas I've never really tasted anything that comes close to this, as simple as you would think it would be. I'm not sure if it's just the stoving that they do, like the pressing, or if it's the additives they add to it. But I've never tasted any other tobacco like it. Now, the smell in the jar is, you can tell it smells really aged. And this is probably, I think, from 2013, 2014, the stuff that I have. And yeah, it mostly smells of age and raisin. There's a nice sweet raisin in there. And on the taste, I've been smoking this for a while. I think I'm getting pretty low here. Is the first thing I noticed was, imagine the most smooth, non-harsh cigarette you can think of. And that's the burley component that I get from it. And then on top of that, there's just this sweet raisin. Sweet raisin. I don't really get yeah, I guess I get a little bit of Virginia. It's like those aged, dark, fruity Virginias that are coming through. But I don't really get a nuttiness, per se, from the burley. It's just so dark and sweet for I've never had that kind of dark, sweet flavor that I get out of this from any other tobacco. There's a little bit of, say, molasses in there. And sort of a floral, but not a floral. Floral, like, you know, that aftertaste you get from honey? That's what I'm getting from this. This kind of like flowery honey that just gets you in the back of the throat. It's smooth and it's creamy. And strength-wise, I would say it's below medium. It's not light and it's not medium. It's right just below medium. You can hail it. The retrohale, can't really feel anything on the retrohale. But wow, yeah, not that it's like this super amazing tobacco. I like my tobaccos a little bit stronger. This is a little bit light for me. But the fact that it's just so unique, and you just pick out little flavors. Sometimes it's that sweetness. Sometimes you get a little bit of that burly, not nuttiness, but just that kind of cigarette-y, I would want to say harshness, but it's not harsh. It's just really smooth. Body, I should say. It's just got this kind of body that reminds me of a cigarette, that you're smoking something. But definitely no harshness. But wow, great tobacco. Yeah, it takes some time. I'll show you. I've been working on my this finally finished my little author pipe here. Yeah. So I just did this all by hand. It was already pre-drilled for me, but I did everything else with a Dremel. And the stem was made as well too, but I made the band and everything else. So yeah, it smokes pretty good. Needs to be broken in yet. It's still pretty new and fresh. I find that briars take a little bit to break in. But yes, that's I've been working on my pipes, and I just picked up a nice little mini lathe, which I'll show you right here, which I'm really excited about now, because now I can actually do some stem work, and that's something I've been wanting to do, is some stem work. And also sometimes the tenons, I have a hard time with tenons, and that should be able to help me with that as well. So anyway, the Esoterica, as a rabbit just went by. If you ever get a chance to pick up the Stonehaven, it's definitely worth, you know, or even a sample, just to say you've tried it, because it's just so unique. I wish another, you know, tobacco company would at least try to, you know, come out with something similar. And if any of you guys know of anything similar, I'd be interested to know, because it's just so smooth and creamy. For, you know, Virginia Burley, they're usually a little bit on the harsh side. And maybe not even on the harsh side, but none of them are just as smooth and as aged and as sweet and a raisiny and as this is an aged. Just, what can I say? Great stuff. So, all right, I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you guys all have a good one. Till next time, Aromatics signing out.